vision is critical, we believe. It's taken us years to understand what a vision for a public transit system really should be. And I believe this is one of the better ones in the country. I'm a little proud of it because I had something to do with developing it. But the Transit Authority, you'll often see transit systems who talk about being on time and providing safe service and those kinds of things. But what is really the function of a public transit system in a community is to strengthen and connect communities. Its value is an economic value. It enables individuals to pursue a fuller life with greater ease and convenience by leading through partnering. Again, this concept of working together. Planning and wise investment of physical, economic, and human resources. So it's about the economy. It's about making a community work. Now, just tell you a little bit about what has happened in that period of time, 35 some odd years ago, when we had the piece of paper and the blank map. We now have a public transit district, 6 counties, population is about 2 million. Interesting thing, Salt Lake City, keep in mind, Salt Lake City, at the center of all of this, is only 250,000 people. It's not the primary driver. There are 2 million people that live in the metropolitan area that all has to be coordinated into one big economic package. We employ, it's a linear geographic area, 130 miles by 20 miles. We have about 2,000 employees, 700 buses. Our light rail fleet is growing and growing and growing. It's getting bigger all the time. We carry about 39 million people a year, but we're going to carry a lot more now. We have a pretty broad menu of services. I think this is important. Services that meet the needs of the community. So we've got intercity commuter rail. You see the big train there. You'll see in the upper right hand, these are our new light rail vehicles. As I said, the 2 routes totaling about close to 20 miles just went into service today. First full day of revenue service. We've been running it for some time, but not with revenue, not with passengers. You'll see the intercity buses. Let me tell you, this convinced me that it's not about steel on steel that makes transit appealing. It's about the quality of the service. You'll see our big MCI vehicle right here. That ran on the same route that we used to run old, grandmother's buses on. And it overnight became a huge success. Just the type of vehicle, just the amenities. It's internet equipped. All of our intercity trains are internet equipped, Wi-Fi, and the whole 9 yards. And overnight that service took off. And you'll see also this over this area is our MAX, our bus rapid transit service that operates much like a streetcar. But it's rubber tire. It doesn't matter. It still has the same kind of quality. The public has the same kind of attitude about the quality of that service as it does towards our light rail system. And of course, I think the low-hanging fruit in communities that we have not learned how to use yet, and we will over time, is bikes and pedestrians. We should be focused on interconnecting these rail and bus systems with a good, solid, above-the-curve, safe, secure pedestrian bike system. We've completely ignored that in this country, and in other parts of the world they have not. We're known as the crossroads of the West. We're used to transportation being an issue. There are problems with congestion in our community. If you go on Interstate 15 right now, half the traffic will be trucks. The head of C.R. England, a large national trucking company with headquarters in Salt Lake City, has done television commercials for us saying, "We don't like riding behind you. You don't like riding behind us. Why don't you take public transit?" So we have a broad community, a coalition of supporters in our community. This was our first project, 15 miles. This is the key. You've got to get it right the first time. If you get it right the first time, you'll be trusted to do a lot more. Let me tell you, it's not easy. You can't see this very well, but this was the ribbon cutting. Secretary Slater came out with this. And we had a police cordon across the street because these people somehow had convinced themselves that light rail kills children. I don't know how they came to that conclusion. The day after the line opened, all of these people were on the train. And I don't know where he moved, maybe Detroit, I'm not sure where he went. Anyway, it's very interesting because you could ride trains for months after that. And I guess you'd sit in a seat behind these people and they would say, "I voted against this. But wow, it's really great. I made a mistake. I didn't know what I was talking about." So you've got to endure this sometimes. Hopefully you would not have to endure anything quite like this, but we got through it. And now today, 90% of our community needs more public transit. And they're willing, not only do they want it, they're willing to pay for it. We primarily fund our transit system through sales tax. So we learned from those first lines. You have to have strong stakeholder agency relations, good public involvement program. You've got to keep people informed. You've got to have a community that wants to be actively involved, and you've got to mitigate the issues. You've got to have a very strong public relations program during the actual construction itself to make sure that the dirt pile that got dumped in front of the Wendy's or whatever you have here gets removed immediately when somebody calls, even if it's the middle of the night. Our second line went to the university. 2.3 miles, but a very critical 2.3 miles. This is a location with 65,000 destinations. It's not just a university, it's a regional medical center, it's a research area, there's all kinds of foundations located in this area. At the time they had a severe parking problem. We now have a 35 to 40% market share of all travel to this location. They're using public transit. The university was able to build educational buildings on parking lots. Huge, huge economic benefit to that area. And it demonstrates that transit really can step up and be the #1 focus for transportation in a region. Something remarkable that happened in the context of this is called Envision Utah. Envision Utah, you know, you have all the usual bickering that everybody has, and we were hearing it, and finally somebody really smart approached the governor and said, you know, the problems are not going to go away, they are arguing. Why don't we get everybody in one room, kind of like this? Let's find 100, 150 of the smartest people in the state, doesn't matter what the politics are, put them in the room, tell them about the 1 million people that are coming, all these other things, and see what they come up with. It took about an hour for them to realize the bickering wasn't going to get anybody anywhere. Let's sit down with the maps and let's start drawing out the kind of land use policies are going to make sense for our community and how our community grows. Ultimately ended up with a set of quality growth strategies which define the land use so the transit can do its job. We have a regional vision that the whole community is endorsed, which promoted heavily through the metropolitan planning organizations, the state. We've all bought into this. We've all, in fact, we had a big signing of a Magna Carta saying, you know, we're in on this. Almost a symbolic gesture, but it was real. It's something we remind each other of. That allowed the Transit Authority to buy 175 miles of available Union Pacific Railroad right-of-way in our community. I mean, we weren't even sure what we were going to do with it all, but we bought it because it just simply made sense to buy $175, $185 million. We've got business support. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. This gentleman here from the Utah Jazz, he's a huge supporter of public transit and owns the largest automobile dealership in the western United States. Okay? He gets it. He gets it. It's about the economy. It's about his community. It's about how it works. This guy's the UPS guy. There's darn people, their cars get in his way. He wants them off the street like the truck driver. This is the guy who provides the electric power. They call it windshield time. How long does it take him to get to a down power line somewhere? And of course, this is the president of the University of Utah. I mentioned the huge benefit they've gotten from the program that we have. The Chamber of Commerce, in our last, we've held 3 referendums, major referendums for sales tax increases. They all passed at practically 70% margins. The Chamber of Commerce were always a big factor. They put $750,000 into this campaign to make it happen. Why? Because it's about economic development. That's what Chambers of Commerce are